Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my 7 Days of Beauty event. If you're watching, please say hi. Let me know you're there. And then also, if you're catching the replay, just say hi, catching the replay. So we're going to start off our event with makeup tools and brushes. And I'm super excited because that's like the foundation of getting all of your makeup on your face, right? So we're going to start out with my favorite tools, what I use on a daily basis, as well as what I recommend to all of my clients. So I did not prep my face this morning because I wanted to show you kind of the coverage and how I can use different products to go over. And as we'll learn in all of the next upcoming days, is how our foundation, it's such a high pigmented product, but it's super thin. Like, you don't need a lot of product to get coverage. So as you can see, my foundation came off around here where I wore my glasses today, as well as my forehead where I was brushing my bangs across, and also from blowing my nose because I have allergies. So my makeup is gone here. So what we're gonna cover over the next few days is how to combat all of that. So tonight's is just on tools and products that are gonna help you with your everyday makeup. So I think this is something that's gonna benefit everybody. And if you haven't watched me before, I have everything Lime Life, including my brush set. Like, these are all my brushes. This isn't even all of them. This is like a portion of them. I also have them in coffee cups off to the side here. So we're gonna get started. So the number one thing that I recommend to all my clients as they start using Lime Life products is this little guy. This is our Blenderful. Our Blenderful sponge is kind of a multitasking product. It not only can apply your foundation, your concealer, your powder, your blush, it can apply everything. The beauty of it is it has so many different surfaces, so it's easier to get into different areas. So the flat side is what I use to apply foundation. You can also use every other surface part of it. So it's soft, it's spongy, it's not, I don't think it's comparable to a beauty blender, I think is what they're called, only because it's a little bit more, it's not as porous, and it actually mimics skin. So if you actually look at like the texture of it, it does actually look like skin. It looks like it has pores on it, and it actually is easier to apply your makeup. It doesn't absorb makeup, and why it's going to be beneficial to you when applying your foundation is it's not going to soak it up. Our foundation is wax-based, so it actually sits on the surface of your skin. And we're going to go into detail about that tomorrow. So I'm just going to demonstrate a little bit different. I'm going to demonstrate on different areas. So the Blenderful is the one thing that I really, really enjoy using just because it's something everybody can use. It's super simple. It's not difficult. And I just took it and I put it in our foundation. And I'm a Gina Beige at the moment. And we're just going to start out with my forehead because that's where the product needs to go first. And it's nice because you can just twist it into place if you want. If you want to get more of a full coverage, you can do that. I also dab it into place. The reason being is that way it gets into all those little creases in your skin, makes it super easy. I'll show you also. So we use the surface of it. And I'm just going to show you on one eye because I have to save it for other products. Is you can use the pointed end. It's great for getting actually foundation around your nose, underneath your eye area, but you can also take it, and if you have our Lime Life concealer, I'm going to use concealer. This is 0, 1, and 2. So concealer 2, you just use the front little part. You can see I don't put that much product on it. I'll do it again. Like, that's hardly any product, but the coverage is ridiculous. And you can get into all of the little tiny spaces. Like, look already, like, the difference. and I just kind of blend it down and around my eye. So we've already had 2 uses for this little guy. So you can get into all these little tiny spots. You can get them around your nose, but it's also great because it covers larger areas. So it's going to save you time. It's a one product thing, one product tool. You can also use it for applying your powder, your bronzer, everything. So if you've used our Perfect Translucent Powder, which is this white one, you can take like the flat side or the curved side. You can see that now. Trying to find a good way to hold this. And you can actually take it and you can twist it in the powder. And now you have your powder. And you can dab it on. And the beauty of our Perfect Translucent Powder, hi Nancy and Bobby and Tanya, is you can take that product and you can just lightly tap it across and it's going to give you that matte finish. Because if you're like me, you don't like a lot of shine. You can do the same thing with your bronzer. You can contour your face. You can put blush on. You can use this thing literally for everything. It's amazing. So that's our Blunderful. That's the first tool I recommend, like I said, to everybody. Hi, Stephanie. That's what I recommend to everybody. Now, if you want, this is going back to the Blunderful. This is what I use and recommend if you want a fuller coverage. Because one, you can build it up with it, and you're actually placing the product exactly where you want it. Also, I'm not used to looking here for all my videos. My phone's turned sideways. So disregard me looking off to the distance. So that's the main one I recommend if you're using our foundation. You're just starting out and you're not sure where to begin. It's a multi-use tool. It's beautiful. The next one that I suggest, if you're going for foundation, this is the Buffer Brush. So as you can see, it has the white bristles on top and then there's black bristles underneath. Reason being is these white bristles are what's going to grab the product. The black ones are what's going to blend it out. So when you grab your foundation, I'm not going to use that. So when you grab your foundation, and I just use our 6 Well because I'm all of these. This is Gina Beige, as you can tell. This is my winter shade. And you just swirl it. And it gets on the brush, okay? You don't need a lot of product. Again, our products are super pigmented, so you don't need a lot. And we're just going to cover my nose with this. And what I like about the Buffer Brush is because it gets into all the spaces. Like I can get into my under eye, I can get into my eye area, but it just covers everything. So the white bristles, like I said, where you can actually see the pigment from the foundation, that's where it's going to grab onto it. And these black ones, when you press a little bit harder, that's what's going to buff it out and buff it into place. So we're just going to go around my nose a little bit. And this might get a little lengthy. So if you guys have questions too, please drop them in the comments. That way I know to respond to them. Because we have a lot of brushes. We have 20 brushes and we have the Blunderful. So we have a lot of tools to kind of cover. And I'm not going to cover all of them unless I have specific questions. These are just like my go-to brushes. So you can see I just covered up my nose. And it's easier because it gets all up in the creases. Hello, Carla. It gets up in the creases. Makes it easier to get those hard to reach spaces on your face. And our foundation is super nice because it looks like skin. You don't want your face looking like a cake. You want it to look like skin, right? So now, the Buffer Brush is probably my second go-to. The reason why I really like it is because, especially like in the summer months, you want your foundation to be kind of a thinner consistency. You don't want that full coverage. You want more of a thin coverage where it's sheer, right? We don't want a full coverage. We're tan. We don't need it. So if you're looking for another full coverage one, you can do a couple different options. You can also do our foundation brush. And what makes this a little bit more of a full coverage is kind of like our blender foam. So I'm just going to use a little bit. I'm going to show you. I just went and I tapped it like that, and then I got product on my brush. So what is nice about our foundation brush is you can apply the product exactly where you want it. And as you can see, I'm using different areas in my face to show you what can be covered. And we're gonna get rid of that spot right there. And you can kind of drag it down. And you're basically painting the foundation on to where you want the coverage. Like, I already look at the difference on this face versus this face. This face to this face. This half of my face versus that half of my face. So the coverage is already, it's incredible. But this is just going to give you a fuller coverage versus just like that sparse one. Okay, you see the difference already? You can see that I have kind of a redness sheen going on over on the side, and this side is basically covered up. So that's basically it for foundation. If you want to do kind of the same effect as the buffer brush, where you get kind of like a sheer finish, you can go with our diffuser. The only difference is with the diffuser is that it covers a larger space, but it doesn't get into the smaller areas. So if you're not concerned about the smaller areas, if you're not worried about getting like all up in your nose to make sure that those little areas are covered, which you can get in there with these, this is gonna be good. It's a time saver. It's a time saver. So, well, actually, I'll just do it really quick. So it works in the same way as the buffer brush. It's just larger. Okay? So it's nice. Look at the difference. So we have the diffuser and then we have the buffer. Does that help a little bit? Okay, so those are foundation brushes. I'm going to show you one other technique. First, I need to even up my face, so hold on. We're just gonna even this out a little bit. Next, we're gonna talk about powder. Because powder is what's gonna seal in your foundation, make everything stay in place, seal it in for the day. Okay, so powder brushes, we have a couple different ones. We have our large all over powder brush. It's great. It's gonna cover large areas. It's going to save you time. The only thing that I don't like about it is it doesn't get in the small spaces. So you just take your powder and then twist and you have powder. And it's nice because you can get all over these large areas. But to me, it's kind of hard to get into like the smaller areas. So it's great if you want the large surface area. So that is our powder brush. This is also great for beginners when it comes to foundation, just because you can get a hang of using our foundation because it's so pigmented that you don't want a lot of product. So if you want kind of an all-over brush, we're gonna go with, this is brush number 1. I don't know if you can see that. Brush number 1. This is our tapered powder. It actually ankles up starting about here, and then it kind of goes up to a point. This is awesome if you're looking to start out with makeup because you can do everything with it. Everything. You can do your bronzer, your contouring, everything with it. So I'm just going to take it, and as you can see, I'm just tapping basically from where the bristles start to the end. And we're just going to tap it into place. And you can get under your eye, you can get up in your nose. It's beautiful. This is an all over the place brush. But it's an everything brush. You can also highlight with it. So this is actually a blush. This is blush number 7 in Glowing, I believe. 6. It's number 6. And it's a highlighter. So you can use it down your nose. You can use it on your cheeks as a blush. On the Cupid's bow. You can put it everywhere. It's amazing. So now, because you don't need a lot of product, you can see like there's hardly any product on here. Most of it's powder, which is translucent, so you don't see a lot of it. Let's go into some bronzer. And you can tap it in the place. And then blend it out. All with the same brush. So it's just a quick motion back and forth between your ear. And then I just do it in circular motions to blend it out. But I just contoured my face. Like you can actually see like cheekbone. So that is number 1. If I was going to tell you another brush to use, it is going to be, we're going to move on the eyeshadows because there's not a lot left. Actually, I take the back. We're doing blush. So you can use a blush brush. And you can use the one that I just used to do your blush. But, let me get them out. I have all the blushes. So the one that's my absolute favorite is actually this one down here. This one is Keen. It's kind of like a shimmery beautifulness. So we're going to use that. And you don't need a lot of product. You don't need a lot at all. So how I like to do it is I face it. Is it this way? Yes. And I start at the outside corner of my eye. And move it in. And then I have a nice blush. Not overly done, not overly Mimi off of the Drew Carey Show, right? So that's what I use for a blush. You can use that same brush I was talking to you about and do the same thing because it's tapered. So you can do a lot of things with one brush. You can do the same thing, right? Pretty cool. This is like a number 1 brush that you need in your kit. And I'm going to go over all these when I'm done. So next up, we're going to talk about my 3 favorite eye brushes. Okay? 3 favorite. First one is going to be our large powder brush. Second is going to be our tapered blender. And our last one is going to be the brow tamer. Because it's 2 brushes in one. And who doesn't want 2 brushes in one, right? So we're going to do a quick little eyeshadow look. So for our eyeshadows, obviously I have all of them. I use all of them on like kind of a daily basis. I'm Marissa. And I already did my lashes for the day. That's fine. But we're going to do kind of like my typical everyday eyeshadow look. And we're only going to use these 3 brushes because it's going to make it super easy. And I use the same 4 colors like every day. So my first one is my go-to. This is Creamboat. This is number 38. And you're just going to take it and you tap. Look at all the pigment. So I take it and I tap it along my entire lid. And then I move it up my lid to my brow. The reason being, when you do this, and we'll cover eyeshadow more on a separate day, but these are going to be amazing applying a full color eyeshadow. And our brushes are multi-use. So you can see I use the flat side, but it also has a skinny side. It also has this side. So you can like tap it into place. You can use it for so many different things. So that was Creamboat. But we're gonna use the same brush. What? And we're gonna use a little bit browner of a color. And we're gonna tap that just on my lid. You see how I did that? Still using the same surface, same eyeshadow brush. And then we're just gonna move it back and forth. And the reason why I did a lighter color on the bottom is because you want something that's going to hold everything in place. You need something in between your skin and the eyeshadow color. So I just move it back and forth, and I'm just doing this just over my lid. So from here into my crease, okay? What you can also do with this is you can dab it into the corners. So if you want to do more of, hello Jody, if you want to do more of a smoky eye, you can do it in the outside corners too. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go in with the same color I used for my eyebrows, which is Taupe for the Best, or Ashen for Trouble, and we're going to make kind of like a little brown smoky eye. And this brush is amazing because it's made for going in that crease of your eye. You see the darkness? And you're going to make little like C motions, little Christine motions in your eye. And what I like best about this is because this brush is made for going in the crease. It's made for going in and distributing product, but it's also great for blending because we're going to use this next to blend everything out. And what I tell everybody is when you go to apply your eyeshadow, like you put your brush into your eyeshadow, but you want to make sure that the first place you put it is where you want the most pigment, the most color. So I stab it here, and you're just gonna do little circles, and that's gonna help distribute the color. So that is the tapered powder. And the last one is gonna make it super easy. But before we get to that point, I have to show you something. So we're gonna go back to that tapered powder. The Creamboat that I showed you, that white powder. We're going to intensify the inside corner, brighten it up, because it's like a creamy color. And then with the remaining product that's on the brush, we're gonna buff out any harsh edges. You see that? Like I have like a slight smoky eye, but there's color. It's nice. So that's eyeshadow. So, but then we're not done with the eyes. This is our brow tamer, but it's more than a brow tamer. It's actually It's our angled liner brush, but it's also a spoolie at the same time. So we're going to take this, and I just dabbed it. I'll show you. So I use Ashen for Trouble as my eyeliner as well as my eyebrow color. And you take that brush at an angle and you just wiggle it and you have pigment, okay? Super easy. So now we're gonna go in and as close to the lash line as possible, and you're just going to stamp it. Now, if you don't want that, I have a solution for you, but we're gonna do this after I do my eyebrows. But you're just gonna stamp, and always point the brush so it's outside, the corner's pointing to the outside. So it's just gonna give me a little bit more oomph around my eyes. Now for eyeshadow, we're going to take the spoolie and you're gonna brush out your brows however you wanna do them. And you're just gonna fill in. First, you're gonna create your line. You're gonna create your eyebrow. And this is easy, it's like a pencil. And all you're gonna do is trace where your eyebrow should be, and then take it and fill in your eyebrows. It's super easy, and anybody can do this. So if you have bad eyebrows, good eyebrows, you want fuller eyebrows, you can do this. It's super easy. We're gonna do the same to the side. It's not hard to do. Like everybody's like, oh, your eyebrows are so good, or you're so good at makeup. You know what? The reason why I'm good at doing what I do is because of the products. They're easy to use and they're pro quality. It's just easy. So that's kind of it. Like I have nothing else really to show you other than that's how it is. Those are the tools that I would recommend. Granted, we have 20. I could go on and on for days if I don't want to bore you. So the one last thing I will talk about is it's our Clean Act brush and sponge shampoo. And this is what I use to clean my brushes all the time. And it gets them super squeaky clean. Super squeaky clean. Nourishes them, it cleanses them, and it's vegan, all natural, Leaping Bunny approved. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed my live. I hope you're excited for the next 6 days because I am. And other than that, I will let you go. Enjoy your evening. Happy Monday, and thanks for watching and hanging out with me. Bye.